Good evening, students and following QUT staff. In this presentation, I'll be outlining the Week 7 topic, Prerequisites of Healthcare Professionals, as well as the skills and capabilities of a registered nurse. Now I would like to go into further detail and talk about the 5 main prerequisites, which are committed to work, interpersonal skills, professional competence, knowing self, and clarity of beliefs and values. Being committed to the job as a registered nurse requires a dedication to provide the best possible care to the individual patient, their families, and the community using holistic evidence and informed care. Committed to work in the nursing field is more than just acts of kindness. It requires the nurse to be dedicated in a positive way to provide the best care possible, as the actions of the nurse choose to take directly impacts on the life of the patient and their families and the nursing team. A commitment to nursing involves the following: lifelong learning. It is essential that nurses are continuously committed to learning by seeking improvement and striving for excellence. Lifelong learning may involve professional development, advanced nursing education, support, and mentorship. It is also important to share knowledge and skills with other nursing colleagues. Overcoming challenges. In nursing, there are a lot of difficult situations that will be faced on a daily basis. It is important to have the attitude and character to be able to overcome these challenges in order to give your patient the best possible care outcome. Providing the best possible guidance and care for your patient and their families. This involves a commitment to achieving holistic care that is driven by person or family-centered goals. Providing the best care to the patient physically, mentally, and spiritually. It is important that nurses are able to maintain their emotional well-being and are able to work effectively in an environment that at times demands high pressure, stress, and fatigue. Placing the patient first. As nurses, it is our responsibility to put the patient first. Everything revolves around the patient and it puts their needs over our own. It involves actively listening, understanding and caring for them holistically. We have to be aware of our own moods and behaviors and how it impacts on the patient. It is important to be professional about what we say and not let our own feelings get in the way, as our behaviors impact the people around you. The second prerequisite required as a registered nurse is interpersonal skills. Interpersonal skills are integral to an effective person-centered framework. Nurses in particular work within a uniquely social environment that is highly dependent on human interactions. Nursing is a social activity, and nurses need to be socially competent. They must be skilled in the art of interpersonal communication and human relationship building. By exercising these skills, it enables nurses to build an empathetic, trusting relationship with the patient that is based on human interaction, rather than a clinical health practitioner-patient relationship. Due to the relinquishing of responsibilities and the power dynamics of the patient relationship, service users are placed in a unique position of vulnerability. Nurses effectively developing interpersonal skills can use their patient knowledge to aid in easing the stress, anxiety, and concerns of the patient, therefore helping to reduce vulnerabilities. A nurse effectively building interpersonal relationships will be able to demonstrate an understanding of the patient's personal concerns by recognizing they may be outside the scope of their clinical health and well-being. Understanding, recognizing, and negotiating with the patient will help to identify their priorities, concerns, and cultural influences. For example, the resulting disruption to the following: financial concerns, family routine, arrangements, work life, home life, contractual concerns, will documents, etc. Using interpersonal skills to develop an understanding of the priorities, concerns, and stresses of the patient helps to create a culturally safe and sometimes therapeutic environment during their hospital experience. Nurses who lack interpersonal skills often have a great imbalance in power dynamics within their relationships with patients. Patients at risk of feeling inferior, anxious, overwhelmed, stressed, concerned, etc., which can in turn affect their health outcomes.
Curry. The following video is a hypothetical scenario illustrating the benefit of interpersonal skills spoken on the behalf of a patient post-care. To talk about my healthcare experience. In the last couple of years, I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and I remember walking to the specialist office and sitting down and being given my diagnosis, and then my specialist jumping straight into the treatments that were available and the side effects, also the side effects of one treatment possibly giving you another cancer, and just piling up on top of each other. And I remember just sitting there and being absolutely overwhelmed and having no idea where I was or what was happening. So my doctor was going through all of these things: chemotherapy, hormonal therapy, radiation, ovary removal, breast removal, hysterectomies, all sorts. And basically his recommendations and all the treatments that are available. But the other thing was that, like, he's sitting there going through all this technical jargon that I just didn't understand. I remember just sitting there nodding and going, oh yes, like I understand everything you're talking about. But in the back of my mind, my head was just running wild. I was thinking about family, how I was going to tell my parents that at the age of 23, I've been diagnosed with breast cancer, and how that's going to affect me. I was like thinking the worst possible scenario straight away. It was like, I'm going to die, or I'm going to lose all my hair, or I'm going to lose my breasts, my whole appearance is going to change. Age as well. I think that losing all your hair, breasts, anything like that that really defines you, it's going to just change how people react to you and how you're treated in public and society. And I was really afraid of all of that. And to be honest, like, without my nurse, I don't think I could have gotten through it. They were such an important part of my health experience. They really just changed the worst possible scenario to something that I could handle and that I could deal with, and that I knew that I could get through, that I was strong enough to do this. I think also talking with someone that's, you know, got experience and knowledge in the industry but isn't personally related. Like my family, and all my relationships, they were personally involved. They were just as traumatized as what I was. To sit down with someone who was clear-headed and kind of knew how to go about it and just really helped me rather than freaking out along beside me. Extremely helpful, and without them, I don't think I could have gotten through it.
Most distinctive attribute of patient participation is the mutual trusting, respectful, and connected relationship between the patient and a nurse. The third prerequisite required for a healthcare professional is professional competence. Competence is understood as the attainment of knowledge, practice skills, integrity, professional and ethical values required for safe and effective practice as a registered nurse. Competence can change over time. Each individual role will have its own set of competencies needed to perform the job effectively. Here is a video from YouTube that shows examples of professional competence.
Expects nurses to demonstrate professional competence throughout their careers. Today, skills courses test nurses using simple methods like true-false quizzes and practice demonstrations. But think about it. Do post-tests, role plays, or annual skills fairs truly equip nurses to perform well in live clinical settings? ANCC calls on you to go beyond simple testing to validate competency in practice. Mary Jones did. She learned the latest evidence-based protocols and passed a written test with flying colors. But her CNO expects the best. Mary had to demonstrate her skills while being observed by experts who evaluated her competence using a standardized, valid, and reliable testing method. Now meet Anne Brown, a nursing educator, and Tim Davis, a device manufacturer. They need to assure regulators and patients that nurses can operate medical equipment consistently, accurately, and safely. How can they best prepare nurses to use the latest technologies? By developing a skills competency course using ANCC standards for educational design, evidence-based content, and testing methodology. Validating competency for nursing skills is not only the future of nursing education, it's essential to improve patient care, minimize risk, and advance nursing practice. responsibilities we all share. Learn more about the ANCC Nursing Skills Competency Program at nursingcompetency.org.
Clarity of beliefs and values. Clarity in beliefs and values is important since they all support what we do in our training.
Hi, I know all of us in this unit are preparing to be a nurse, but mind you, being a nurse is not an easy job, and there would be so many difficulties and hurdles awaiting us in the span of our career. There would be situations where we would be forced to challenge our own beliefs and values, and it is in those situations that our true nursing capabilities would be tested. For example, a couple of months ago, I had a patient and he had been in the ward for 3 weeks. So the patient had no family and no one to take care of him back home. When the time finally came for his discharge, the patient simply refused. He said, "I don't want to go back." And that's obviously because the patient had made friends in the ward and he was being taken care of very well by the staff, and that he didn't want to go back because there would be no one taking care of him back home. But this was the first time I was facing such a situation and I didn't know what to do. So I previously believed, like personally, that I should be helping anyone in any way possible. But in this case, my values as a nurse would not allow me to let this person stay any longer in the hospital as he was completely healed. This was a clear conflict between my views and my beliefs and my values, but I chose to stick to my professional values because that is what we get taught in our entire nursing studies. So I went to the doctor and told him about the situation, and finally the person was discharged. But this situation made me learn a lot of things. One of which was that no matter what, I have to stick to my professional values, which is to do what is best for the patient, which in this case was for him to be discharged because, hospitals are full of germs and infections, and also because I wouldn't want anyone to be dependent on hospitals for socialization. So I hope you learn something from my experience and it helps you in your career. Thank you.
The fourth prerequisite is knowing self. Here is a student nurse perspective about this prerequisite.
Each and every individual is different. We all come from different cultures and have different beliefs and values that determine many elements of our lives. Knowing yourself as a nurse is arguably one of the most important parts of the job because it aids in the understanding of other people, including patients and nurses. Life worlds and worldviews are individualistic elements of our lives that determine our beliefs, values, opinions, and assumptions. These beliefs, values, opinions, and assumptions determine how we interact with people. Nurses interact with patients, other nurses, doctors, and patients' families a lot throughout the day, and each of these people have different values, beliefs, and so on. So knowing yourself is important because then you can understand what you think is not necessarily the same as what other people are going to think. For example, every day you personally wake up and eat breakfast at around 7 a.m. because you believe that breakfast is the most important meal of the day. You have a patient that doesn't have the same belief as you and they don't like to eat breakfast. You know that your belief about breakfast is different to theirs and don't force them to eat breakfast if they don't want to. This is what makes it person-centered care. It isn't you as a nurse forcing your beliefs onto another person. It is understanding and accepting the differences so that the patient can be as comfortable as possible under your care.
Thank you for watching this presentation on prerequisites of healthcare professionals as well as the skills and capabilities of a registered nurse.